So I knew that Kanye was, rocking with my music. To play it at the concert was wild though. It was definitely a great feeling.
Okay, this is the first episode of the Media Mayhem Podcast. I'm John Cotter. I've done a ton of interviews in the past. Daniel Kaluuya, Lakeith Stenfield, Bo Burnham, Jason Reitman. The list just keeps going. And yeah, this is my first Media Mayhem Podcast. And I got Matt Vega here today, who is widely known for producing GD Anthem, which has been the Chicago hit of the summer. But tell me a bit about yourself. Who are you? Name, age, all that.
My name is Matt Vega. I'm 17 years old. I'm a producer. Been doing it for a couple years. Got my first big hit. But I really appreciate you having me here today.
Yeah, man. I mean, same to you, vice versa. And, I think what initially intrigued me is I heard GD Anthem, and I think so many people heard the song and then found out that it was produced by you. A 17-year-old from the suburbs of Chicago. And that on paper to me is a story in and of itself. And it's just a headline, like the 17-year-old producer that made GD Anthem. I mean, that in and of itself sticks out. But specifically myself being young and being on that path of, working towards something, a career, what motivated you to start producing, learning the software? Because you still are so young.
Mm-hmm. To be honest with you, when I was in 8th grade, I kind of knew I wanted to be somebody, you know what I mean? I wanted to do something big with my life. And I was just always listening to music, my parents would always complain that never see me without the headphones on. So, I was just listening to a lot of music. I wanted to get into it. Didn't really know exactly what I wanted to do. Started making beats, and I was like, yeah, this is something I really like and I'm good at. So from there, I just kept working, got better and better.
I like how you described it, never taking your headphones off, because it's almost seen as a fault until they really discover what that's going towards. And to you, it's a career. Mm-hmm. And obviously, like I've said, your age is kind of what pulled me into wanting to talk to you initially, because I could just tell, getting a placement at that age, it's not just something that happens. You work towards that. It's through connections. It's through all this hard work and diligence. And, being so young and doing this, you've already gained the experience that people twice your age wish they could have of getting something like this. So, how does your age play a role in the connections you make, the music you make? Is it an obstacle you have to overcome, or do people kind of see you as this new and inspiring voice doing this stuff at such a young age?
Honestly, I would say it helps me. I was talking to Choo Choo about this. It's my boy over there, another producer, and he was saying that since I kind of stand out in studio sessions, when I walk in, people are like, who is this kid? And why he's got to be raw if he's here. You know what I mean? And then when they hear about my work and I play them the beats, and they're like, oh yeah, But I would say, since I'm so different from just other people in the studio, I feel like people rock with me more.
And that's, I'd agree with that as well. If I was in the studio and I saw you walk in, that would be the first thing I would think is, what skill and talent does he have that gets him in this room?
Right.
A place that it just looks like you inherently don't belong, but you belong in this space. And I want to talk a little bit about Choo Choo Beats over there, because I know they're kind of your mentor in a sense. Yeah. Is that correct?
100%.
100%. And, having a mentor at your age is incredibly necessary if I'm looking at it. Mm-hmm. And I'm kind of curious, how have they helped you, being somebody this is all you know so far. How have they helped you become Matt Vega, the producer that got a hit on GD Anthem?
I just got so much advice from Choo Choo. Between just hearing his beats and telling me his process, giving me advice on the industry, showing me how he talks to people in the industry and just carries himself. It really just paved the way of oh, this is how it's done. And, Choo Choo's really good at what he does. So seeing somebody and be able to take his skills and, you know, still incorporate myself and just learn from him, you know, it's really helped me and paved my way. So, you know, big shout out to Choo Choo.
Yeah, and, you know, I'm going to have to give huge props to Choo Choo as well, because, you know, it takes something really special to be able to make this producer-producer relationship, two people doing seemingly the same thing, work when one of them gets this placement. But it's a team effort. It's not just you, but it's you guys working together to make this happen. Not even if he wasn't credited on the beat, he got you to that place. And I know you guys are just going to continue going on like that. But
yeah, definitely.
With the mentorship and sort of this great experience that you've talked about with it, do you hope to sort of return the favor in a sense? Like if you see a producer that's younger when you're older, that you think, okay, maybe I can help this guy out. Have you ever thought about that? I know you're still pretty young for that, but
yeah, I mean, it doesn't cross my mind too much, but I could definitely see myself down the line doing that. You know, if I hear talent, it really just depends. Like, you know, if I hear his stuff, I'm like, yeah, this kid raw, and just how, you know, if I rock with him too, because, you know, you're gonna be with these people a lot, so you got to make sure that you actually like them. But I could definitely see myself doing that. You know, I always want to put people on, and it, you know, it's like the next wave, right? So if you can be a part of what inspires the next wave of music, it's always just a big achievement.
100%. And I think discovering not only producers, artists in general now is just so much easier, but at the same time, you have to stand out. And with that being said, how did like Choo Choo find you, or vice versa? How did that relationship build between you two?
I started as just a fan. Like, I loved his music. Like, you know, so I was just listening to all his stuff. And I actually reached out to his manager. And, you know, I hit his manager up, and I was like, yo, I have some beats. I have some songs. You should manage me. Which, you know, it's not really the best way to go about doing it. You know, that usually doesn't work out. But my manager, Mike, he was like, all right, you know, send me some stuff. And then when he heard it, he was like, oh, no, like, this kid actually could go places. So
I actually like the way you reached out, because I think a lot of people are really apprehensive when they reach out and like, oh, they might not even read it. Like, no, let's assume that they are reading this, and you caught their attention right away.
Yeah.
You know, that's the good way to go about things. It may seem forceful, but, you know, you're making yourself known. And, you know, kind of jumping more into, you know, what threw you in the spotlight, being, for me at least, you know, I heard and was familiar with GD Anthem before the Donda show in Chicago. So I knew it. But when I heard it, I was watching a live stream and I heard it. I couldn't believe it. I was in awe. Not only because this just deep-rooted Chicago song is playing for the world right now,
right,
but for Kanye to bring out Rooga as this artist and say, this is Chicago right now. And looking at that moment with you, you know, it's playing, echoing in Soldier Field, the song you produce, and you're 17. You know, what was that feeling like? Like, hearing that? Were you there? Like, what was that?
Man, I wasn't even watching the live stream, to be honest with you. Like, and the thing is too, I've been a Kanye fan for a while, so I watched his other live streams, and then, you know, this one I was like, all the songs are the same. It doesn't, you know. So I watched like the first half of it, and then I had some stuff to do, so I stopped watching it, and then all of a sudden my phone just starts blowing up. I'm getting calls and texts and from everybody in the grade. I'm like, man, what's going on? And I looked and I saw he played it. I was like, oh yeah, that's raw. So like, I was definitely shocked, but at the same time I knew Rooga was up there with him, you know. So
you knew Rooga was in Soldier Field at that point?
Because Rooga is featured on the album, and so he was working with Kanye, you know, and I figured that my song probably had something to do with it. So I knew that Kanye was, you know, rocking with my music. You know, to play it at the concert was wild though. It was definitely a great feeling, and you know, I think that's when a lot of people started realizing like how big the song is. You know, if you ain't from Chicago, you don't really even know.
And a lot of people throw around the word, I think, cosign a lot, because it does have kind of a large umbrella of what it is. But you very literally got the Kanye cosign in, I think, the biggest possible way. He couldn't possibly show people, I love this song, more than he did by letting Rooga perform it. there.
Right.
And I think that's very cool. But kind of looking at that from the Kanye aspect of, you know, he's listening to you kind of know he's listening to your music, but you haven't gotten any signal of that yet.
Right.
What was that sort of feeling like of knowing like, oh my God, he might be listening to my music? And I know it furthered from there, but that moment, you're getting all those texts and you know, like, the world just heard what I have to offer.
Yeah, you know, it was really a crazy feeling, you know, because it's a very simple song, and like, you know, I don't think a lot of people would hear it and think like, oh yeah, this is Kanye level thing, you know what I mean? But, you know, to think that it really just caught his ear and he likes it so much, it's really a bust. And like I said, I've been a Kanye fan for a minute now, and you know, I also think that he rocks with it so much because he sees just the potential in that sound, that like more, you know, it could be a next wave of things and next wave of music. So to think that, you know, my music could have inspired him. I mean, also thinking about like Donda, you know, Rooga was there making with him. So I think that my music could have influenced that album too, you know, and the talk in the industry about my music. It is really crazy. So, you know, big shout out to Kanye.
Yeah, because even if you're not right there in the room where the conversation's happening, there's still buzz around your name, and it's positive. It's people wanting to work with you. It's people talking about this sound. And what a lot of people, I think, see is almost a resurgence of this Chicago sound, where it's like, we got the Dirks, we got the G Herbos, but there's certain parts. And FBG Duck, I think, was one of those guys that was getting there, too. So it's really great to see this sort of elevate more, and I'm gonna return back to that, but I want to delve a little bit more into this Kanye stuff. Did you get any contact with him after it?
Yeah,
you did.
He reached out.
You reached out.
He reached out to me personally. It was on some work and stuff though. You know, it wasn't about just like, hey man, I like your song. You know, it's about work. And so yeah, you know, I got some big things coming for sure. But yeah, he reached out. I spoke to him. Cool dude. You know, like I said, especially as a producer, you know, what he's done for the producer community. You know, it doesn't really get much bigger than Kanye.
Yeah.
So.
And, you know, like you said, Kanye's an inspiration to you and is an inspiration to so many of us. And I think he's a musical light for a couple generations. And he's my personal favorite artist. And I feel like that's sort of like a blanket statement now. Like, who's the GOAT? Kanye, you know, a lot of people say that, but what stands out to me so much for Kanye is his ability to rule and conquer different multimedia modes of like the Donda live stream. It's music and video. He's converging these two things. And for me, the GD Anthem music video really accomplished that really well. Were you there at all when that was happening?
For like the video shoot?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was there. But well, it was crazy because it was originally going to be at a different location. So like I pulled up, I met everybody, and we were going to shoot it, but then there were some problems and we couldn't shoot there anymore. And so, you know, I had to dip, and they shot somewhere else. But I met everybody who was, you know, at the shoot, and, you know, real cool people. So yeah, I was there. I agree though. It's definitely a great video, especially for its purpose. You know, I think he handled, I mean, the way Rooga marketed the whole song is just genius. You know, big shout out to him. He really did it in a way that, like, you know, made it go as mainstream as it did.
Yeah, and you know, I was going to get to this later, but I'll talk about it now. The social media challenges I have seen with GD Anthem. I actually talked with the artist K Camp last year about his Lottery Renegade song. I don't know if you remember that. It blew up on TikTok.
Oh yeah, I think
and I was like, you know, what was that about? And he's like, this was all by plan, like all of it.
Really?
All going on TikTok. It was all a marketing sort of thing. It doesn't feel like it with Rooga's GD Anthem. It feels like a song first, and then, okay, let's further blow this up on the social media trajectory. And I saw a couple of your accounts on Instagram, it might have been the business one, repost a couple of those memes. One of them was at a high school football game, and the other one was posted by the Dunk Instagram account with like 5 million followers.
Right.
So you got that local support, and you got that huge out-wide support. Have you seen these memes around? Have you seen people, like, I know on TikTok they got like the over-exaggerated facial expressions for him and stuff?
Yeah, they funny. They're funny. I love just going through TikTok, searching the song, and just watching all them when I have a free second. Especially with my generation. Since everybody's just always on TikTok, to be like, I have a TikTok song. I was very surprised. Like I've made beats where I think like, oh, this could go crazy on TikTok, and GD Anthem was not the one where I was like, oh, this is gonna be a TikTok song.
Totally, and I'm with you on that 100%. I do Media Mayhem on TikTok. Yeah. I've got a couple thousand followers there, and so I've been learning how to use the platform. And GD Anthem was not the song I would think would pop off in the way that it did, because I think it started so naturally with somebody just being like, oh, this is going to be funny, and then just doing a video with it, and then that's how it starts.
And keep in mind, like, a lot of times, labels will kind of make that happen and will make it so the song does go TikTok famous, but Rooga's still independent, and Rooga didn't even have a TikTok. So, like, it was all just fans making that stuff happen,
That's incredible. Yeah. I think that speaks larger towards sort of the fan artist dynamic and relationship of like, if you really show that support, they'll show it back.
Yeah,
100%. With GD Anthem, it's just the trajectory isn't slowing down. It's picking up. It's about to hit 7 mil on YouTube. And typically when we see songs like this, what we just saw with Narwick's, the Who Wants Smoke song with. Just got 21 Savage, G-Herbo, Lil Durk on it. Just putting that song that's already blowing up and bringing it to a whole nother level. Is there anything in the works for like a GD Anthem remix?
Yeah, there's definitely stuff in the works. There's gonna be some pretty big names. I'm not sure how much I can speak on it. I don't want to drop all the information, but I'm definitely looking forward to it. I think it's gonna be a pretty great remix.
I'm not here to make you spill anything you don't want to, man. I'm just here to pick you apart a little bit, and that's what I wanted to know. So there is something. There's something in the works,
and it's going to be crazy for sure.
Yeah, I'm really excited for that, and I think a lot of other people are too. And that's a trend in hip hop, a recent trend of taking those independent songs and not like commodifying them, but bringing just a whole new wave of attention on it. And I think that's going to be like a really big moment, not only for you, but for this song and Rooga, and I think the Chicago scene in general.
Definitely.
And it's weird to sort of ask how you got your start in production, which I know you said in 8th grade, but you're 17. You're still in a way starting off. This is the beginning of your career.
Yeah.
I doubt you've like reached an arc or anything like that. It's only going up from that. And I know you talked about, Kanye as one of your favorite artists, production, inspiration. What's your favorite like hip hop music, whether it be a certain album or artist that speaks to you as a producer, and like how you work that way? Like, do you have a favorite, anything that stands out?
Man, I try not to pick favorites, honestly, because like it changes, it really just depends on my mood. Like sometimes, I've been listening to a lot of Rooga and Duck and like that wave, the mainstream people for sure. I try to listen to as many different things as I can. I don't want to just put myself in a single lane. I want to make stuff that my mom's going to listen to and all that stuff. She's proud of me for GD Anthem, but, I need some different stuff that, no matter who you are, I can play you something that you're going to like.
So, GD Anthem is huge, and you're 17, and you go to public school?
I go to public school.
That's a lot. I think it's a lot of pressure on you as a student and you as still a producer, because you're doing both of these. Just walk me through a little bit of the student producer. Because I know something has to come first sometimes. So what's that about?
You mean like what's it like in school, or just balancing everything?
Balancing the school and production mostly.
Yeah. It can get a lot. School takes up the majority of the day, so I'm coming home and racing to do as many beats as I can. But it is really just about balance, and I picked my classes in a way I can manage it. And there's a lot of producers that are still working other jobs and stuff. So, you know, who am I to complain? You know, you just kind of get it done when you can get it done, you know?
That's such a good outlook too. And, you know, that's kind of how I work. Like I have a full-time job outside of all of this too. And, you know, so when I'm doing this stuff, I'm extremely dedicated. I'm in tune and stuff like that. Do you think sort of having something larger like school outside of production keeps you focused with the time that you have with it?
There's definitely something to be said about that. You know, it's the whole, you know, the less time you have, the more you get done. That's what my parents will always say. Because, you know, it's like if you have a deadline or something that you really need to get done in this certain amount of time, you like really focus to do it, rather than, you know, if you have a ton of time, you know, you procrastinate, do other stuff instead. So, you know, I'm definitely excited to be done with high school and have more time for music, because I do feel like there's going to be a lot of projects and things that come that I'm going to have to turn down because I just simply don't have enough time. But, you know, for right now, it ain't too bad.
And going back into the school setting, you know, it's hard for me to think anything but you being the coolest kid in school right now. You know, did you notice an uptick in popularity after GD Anthem dropped, or were people already in tune to what you were doing? You don't need to be humble, don't worry.
There's definitely some kids that, you know, weren't really talking to me before, who rock with me now. But, you know, I just take it for each person, you know, like sometimes some kids, like I'm glad that they, you know, like my music. I can tell they're actually really passionate, like they just love my work, and that's the stuff that I really like, you know. There's some other kids who are like, I don't really like you, but, you know, it is what it
like,
is.
whatever, he's got clout, I'm not interested in him. But
yeah, but you know, I'm glad I go to my, you know, I like the people that go to my school.
For sure.
It's not, and since it's not a Chicago school, I don't think people like really know it to the extent. Like I don't think any of my teachers know what I do.
Really?
Yeah, except for the ones I tell.
And the ones you tell them, I'm assuming that's deliberate.
Yeah, they're pretty surprised when I tell them it.
You know, I definitely guarantee there's a Kanye fan teacher in your school that probably knows who you are and is just like, this kid.
Man, everybody's a Kanye fan. He's Kanye. But
true.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty quiet in school, so, you know, I don't be going and talking and saying stuff to everybody.
Stay in your lane. That's, you know, stay focused. And
exactly. Another
part about, you know, going to school, interacting with your peers, and, you know, they might, like you said, the people that are, you know, kind of look at you a little bit less on the producer side, more on like the, oh, he's working with Kanye, he's super cool kind of thing. Like, you know, they don't get the passion, the connections you've built, the work you've put in to get, it's like, you haven't been like, oh, I put in all this work in 8th grade to work with Kanye by the time I'm 17. Like, no, that's just a byproduct of the work that you're putting in. And it's understandable, but do friends and peers your age just like not fully understand how dedicated and passionate you are?
It depends on the person, you know. There's a lot of people that do. Like I've you know, shout out all my close friends. Like they know that this means everything to me. They see the work that I put in, and they know that like what I do, I take very seriously. But you know, there's a lot of other kids that just don't fully get it. It is what it is, though. You know, I don't do what I do for them. So
absolutely, 100%. And you know, I got to return to this Kanye phone call thing to you and just kind of ask you what was going through your head when A, you knew he was about to call you, and B, you picked up the phone and talked to him. Well, like, because I'm not going to ask you about the details. I know that's between you and Kanye, but you know, what were you thinking in that moment? Were you proud of yourself? Were you nervous?
I was excited, but you know, when we talked, it was very much of just like business. You know, trying to you know, do what he wants me to do and work and do things right. You know, I kind of put the fan of me aside and tried to really get down to work, and because you know, it's Kanye, you want to make sure that, you know, you give it your all. So, but you know, looking back on it, I was very excited. You know, Kanye's the GOAT. So it was definitely a great moment for me.
Yeah, this is Media Mayhem saying Kanye is the GOAT. That is a factual statement, so you're good on that. That's something I've had to keep too, where it's like when I did my interviews of like, talking to Bo Burnham, Daniel Kaluuya, like, yeah, I'm fans of these people, but you have to push that aside. And I'm glad that you like discovered that so early of like, you got to keep the professionalism.
Yeah, at the end of the day, they're just people. So, they're trying to get the work done.
Truly. And, with Media Mayhem, something I'm really interested in with just this whole account that I'm running is looking at media with an introspective lens of like, it's not just hip hop. It's not just this one piece of media, but, looking at rap, for example, like I'm interested in hip hop. I'm interested in film, but on the side, I play a lot of video games and stuff. And I keep a mindset when I play those, whether it be relaxing, but I'm doing a certain thing, but it all carries over. And I think we see that with like video game samples in music. You see the passions in one area carry over to another. And I guess with that being said, what outside inspirations, just, not hip hop, inspire you creatively within that? Whether it be movies, like other kind of stuff, like.
Yeah, I would say movies. Movies are cool. To be honest though, like I don't really watch a lot of stuff or play video games anymore. I just don't really have the time. But I would say really what gets me inspired is listening to my old music and just going through my beats, because it's like, I don't know, once you get to a level where you're really proud of your work and listen to your work, and like that's just how I, it's almost like a form of meditation in a way, where you just like putting everything aside and just listening to the stuff you've created. But, as far as other things that inspire me, I would definitely say other people's art. It all carries over for sure.
Yeah, and looking back at your work is something, that's something I've started doing recently too. And I think it's also necessary in like giving yourself flowers in terms of being like, I did this, I made this song. Mm-hmm. It might not be the stuff I make today, but that just shows that you've improved. And so like doing stuff like that, especially under like an inspirational ideology, is just super important.
Yeah, that's some game for some new producers, because I didn't used to do that. I would just make stuff, I wouldn't even like export it, and I wouldn't go back and listen to it. And really just like going back through all your old works, you see how much you grow, you see your catalog. So when people ask for beats, you're like, oh, I remember I have this and this for them. And it just inspires you. I mean, why make music if you're not even gonna listen to it and enjoy it? Kind of defeats the whole purpose. So
yeah, well, we're kind of reaching the end here, and what you just said, or what you've said over this whole conversation, has been like super insightful, not only for me as a fellow creative, but I think for a lot of up and coming producers out there, mm-hmm. who I think almost look at you as like a beacon of light of like, oh my God, this is possible, I can do this. Right. And with that being said, and with what you just said, what advice can you give to those up and coming producers out there, the people that think that music might be a route for them?
Man, I mean, just keep pushing. A year ago today, I didn't even really have like a single placement to my name. So, you just work hard, believe in yourself, always try to learn. Learning is everything. Watch YouTube videos, remake other people's beats, learn from yourself. It's just working. And then, if you work hard enough, things will just start coming, in whatever way they do. And you just gotta be ready for it. But, just keep working and things will happen.
Well, GD Anthem's almost at 7 mil. Matt, this beat slap boy, echoed in Soldier Field, and you're only going up from here. So I just want to say thank you for coming on the Media Mayhem podcast, man.
Hey, man, I appreciate you. Thanks for having me.
No problem.